There is an eerie silence while they talk about presidential clowns and fluff stories, and the Pacific Ocean is boiling with radiation that is surreptitiously slaking off from the doomed reactors that they're just running water through and through to try to keep them cool. The food chain, there have been measurements of the lobster beds and the floor of the ocean where anomalous radiation levels have been detected. People have modeled the wind currents and the ocean streams and the long term transit of these materials to our atmosphere here and to our bellies through the seafood that we eat. And with trust in our listeners, Helen, I'd like to just get right into that. You held a very important press conference on the first occasion of the Fukushima event, and you've been on the case ever since. What is it that is going on that we're not being told about and that we need to know?
Well, about half of Japan now is contaminated with radioactive fallout. People in Japan are living in areas that are so radioactive that people who lived near Chernobyl, they were evacuated from areas that were so radioactive. The Japanese government is involved in a big cover-up along with TEPCO, the Tokyo Electric Power Company, not to allow people to know all the data. They are not routinely testing the food. Half the rice in Japan is grown in the Fukushima prefecture, and the rice is now being harvested. Much of it is coming in radioactive with cesium-137 and other isotopes in it. The leafy vegetables, the mushrooms, the beef, much of it is radioactive. Children who are so radiosensitive are living in highly contaminated areas. There are reports of children developing acute radiation illness. It's a little early yet to see any evidence of leukemia because from the data from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leukemia didn't manifest until 5 years after the bombs were dropped. And it's so ironic that the Japanese people suffered from the bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and now they've got this. It's just heartrending, really. And we will, within a few years, start to see the incidence of leukemia and indeed cancer starting to rise, and it will continue to rise for the next 70 years because, A, the radioactive elements like strontium-90 and cesium last for 600 years, plutonium for 250,000 years, and a lot of plutonium got out, and lots of other elements. And because it takes so long for cancer to develop, the latent period of carcinogenesis, it will be a long time before we see these cancers. And it's not just this generation. It's generations hence that will be subjected to the risks of developing malignancy. It's an unbelievable medical tragedy. And the data about the releases has not been adequately released. Indeed, the Japanese government knew where the radiation was going because they had a system called SEEDI, which was measuring radioactive levels, and they didn't let the people know so that they could flee to areas that were not so radioactive because they didn't want to create panics, for God's sake. And so now people are desperate, and pregnant women are migrating down to the south of Japan. Families are being split up. Parents can't let the children go outside and play. They tested some, I think, 1,000 children in Fukushima and found nearly half of them had thyroid nodules, and they're going to watch them. Well, you don't watch thyroid lumps. You biopsy them with a fine needle to see if they're cancer or not. And so that's just the beginning. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just more than a tragedy. And I will then tell you about a study that was released by the New York Academy of Sciences last year, which is a study of 5,000 articles written in Russian and translated into English of the people living near Chernobyl. And from their data, it seems that up to or more than 1 million people have already died from Chernobyl. And estimates by nuclear physicists say that, or nuclear engineers, Fukushima is 2.5 times worse than Chernobyl. So you could multiply that figure of 1 million by 2.5 times, and there you have it.